when I started the marathon, my goal was not win a bronze medal. It was just, hey, I want to see how good I can be at this thing. And so I think by trying to like really define things, you almost limit yourself. So I'm just like, hey, like open yourself up to everything that's possible. The universe is a big place. A lot of things are possible. You just don't know it. I think as I've kind of grown older and competed a lot more, my approach has become a lot more process oriented. I think when I was younger, it was all about like winning, get to the next goal, get to the next accomplishment. And I think between becoming a pro where those wins don't come quite as easily and the gains are a little bit harder to get, I think being able to focus on what I'm doing every single day to make myself a little bit better and enjoying the process of all of it, I think is really important. And I think truly, like, my best races come during times where I'm less focused on the outcome than I am on what I'm just doing every single day to make myself better. I think the mind-body connection is so important, at any level, but especially at the pro level. And so I do a lot of things that are kind of like mind-muscle coordination, so just like physicality things, especially with like running form or like injury prevention, but then also just realizing like a lot of your energy for running comes from having your head in the right place. So I feel like a lot of meditation, making sure you're getting sleep, and same thing, kind of like enjoying the process every day, I think is so conducive. Like when your head is in the right place, you run well.
It's always like a battle, right? Like daily or even through the moments.
And I think that's the real thing. It's like, it's one of those things that, like with running, if you don't keep up with it every single day, it atrophies. And so making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do on a daily basis to keep your head in the right place is just as important as running mileage.
Are you afraid to lose, or do you love winning?
Honestly, I'm not that afraid to lose. I've gone out and had some really terrible races, but I think a lot of it even is kind of like, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. It's not necessarily the winning that keeps me going. Like, my favorite part of being a pro athlete is not necessarily the races. It's just getting to go out and I think really see how far I can push this. Like, the medals and the accomplishments are great. They're a cool marker of where you're at, but I think it's this internal knowing of like, hey, like I'm riding that edge of like as much as I can physically push myself. And I think that's what keeps me going, even in the times like now where I've gone probably about a year and a half of really tough times since the Olympics. And it's what gets you through those periods of knowing like, hey, like even absent of all the accomplishments, like I truly love doing this and I'm going to keep doing it even if nothing ever comes of it.
Sure. Is that something that might have changed though through your career? Like,
no,
really?
I honestly like it's kind of always been that. I've never been even in high school, I've never been like one of those people where it's like the wins is what keeps it going. It's more of just like I just really love doing this. I just really love running. Awesome. Even if someone told me tomorrow that I couldn't compete again, I'm like I would still keep running. I think it was really cool to realize how many people it affected. Because I think when it comes to the Olympics, there's so much pride when you put on that singlet. Like in that race, I almost felt like I wasn't me when I was racing. It almost felt like it was something beyond that. Yeah. And I've had so many people tell me like, wow, that like watching you in that race just made me feel something so deeply. And like, I think that's what I always dreamed of having in my career, of like being one of those athletes that like for me, that was Steve Prefontaine. Like, obviously, I'm too young to have ever actually watched him race, but seeing old videos, it's like I feel like he was the epitome of like he was like an artist racing. Like he made you feel something so deeply when you watched him, even if he didn't win the race. You're like, I can appreciate so deeply what he's doing. So I think that was the biggest impact, is realizing like, wow, like this thing really resonated, and I think this race is going to live on even past like my own career.
When you were in that final like 2 or 3K in the Olympics, you know, what was going through your head?
It's funny, it almost hit this like zen place, because like once Peter dropped out and it was pretty clear that I was going to get third, and I'm just going as hard as I can, but knowing like, okay, like I'm in the position that if I can just hold this, I'll do it, and I knew that I had the strength to do it. It was just like this sense of peace, and like it was very quiet in the back there because obviously they couldn't have a lot of spectators, and I was just like really reflecting on like what got me there, and it was just like, wow, this is one of the coolest things I've ever experienced.
Did it hit you before you got to the finish line of what you had?
I think it was realizing it, but like knowing full well, like, okay, like there's still race left. I didn't let myself feel that emotion. I think that's where that piece of it was, just like that, like, wow, like I'm doing it, and then when I got to that final stretch and just started screaming, that's when the emotion kicked in of just like, oh my God. We love going to like the bar and restaurant inside the Whole Foods.
Okay.
They legit have really good food.
Nice. Yeah.
Great service. Like I'm a Whole Foods junkie. I'm a Gucci bitch. And we just did that for a friend's birthday. But no, my like favorite spots in town, I love Shift. They've got like great local food. Mama Burgers, always a good greasy burger. And then Gloria's Cafe and Bakery. It's like a little family-owned like Mexican bakery across town, and their pan dulces are legitimately incredible. We've been doing that after a lot of long runs.
We worked at Josephine's. I don't know if that's still.
Oh yeah.
And then I worked at Macy's as a baker there.
Oh, I love Macy's. Okay, Macy's is probably like my favorite coffee shop.
Okay, great. In your path to becoming a distinguished distance runner, can you identify a specific workout, a breakthrough workout that really like, you know, made you a better athlete?
I feel like every workout makes you a better athlete in some ways, but I think there are a couple, especially at Flagstaff, like we'll do like float and push miles on Lake Mary, where it's like you'll run like hard for 1 mile, float for a half mile. You'll do that for a certain distance, usually 12 to 15 miles. And I feel like the first time I could do that going into, I think it was London in 2020, that I was just like, wow, like I feel like I've really like crossed this threshold. Like I feel like I'm really like hitting it off. I'm really just getting in the groove of it. There's something so like, it's so cool to finally feel like everything's just like firing.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I'm not one of those like AI like defeatists that is just like it's gonna take over the world. Like maybe it will, but I feel like it'll do some cool things.
I'll dance with it along the way. But so you're involved with it in your MBA?
Yeah.
So you're familiar with GPT and you've been playing around with it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Probably use it more than I should, but yeah, I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And even like the AI image generation is so much fun.
So you use Midjourney or DALL-E?
Yeah. So my boyfriend is an artist, a photographer, and we've just been having a lot of fun with it.
All right, here's another one. Discussion of extraterrestrial life has captivated humanity for generations. As an athlete who constantly pushes human boundaries, do you entertain the possibility of life beyond Earth? And how does contemplating the vastness of the universe shape your outlook on your own accomplishments and your place in the grand scheme?
Okay, I actually like do love that idea of like extraterrestrial life. I do believe that if we ever make contact, that it's going to be so far beyond our level of intelligence. It's like what do they use the phrase that like we haven't been contacted by extraterrestrial intelligence because it's like we are ants compared to them.
Yeah.
That it's like we don't have the brain power. I feel like that's probably like the next step. I would hope that if we get to the sufficient level of advancement that we get contact.
Maybe AI will talk to it.
Exactly, yeah. But I think it's just like the universe is way too vast for like there not to be.
Is that something you've always thought or been open to at least?
Yeah, I feel like it. Like it just seems like with a numbers game, like obviously it's like what we've got going on here on Earth is pretty cool, but it's like there's nothing special about us. I think just the sheer vastness of the universe like absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like when you truly look at it, it's just like, wow, that's so much bigger than I can comprehend.
How does that come back to you? Does that affect like how you perceive yourself in the world, or like?
I think it's a good reality check, of like sometimes we were just discussing this last night of like running can seem so like it's so much of like everything for me right now, and it's so insular sometimes. And same thing, I come to this and it's like it seems so serious, and then I think like in the grand scheme of things, like I make my living by running around in circles, and like that's pretty cool, but like in the vastness of the universe, that's a very small silly thing, and I'm like, you know what, that's kind of cool.
Awesome. All right, lastly, how does self-reflection and introspection contribute to your growth as a runner? And could you provide an example of a moment when such reflection catalyzed a breakthrough point in your career?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of times in your career that you have to like be able to step back and take stock and realize when things are working, when things aren't. I think it's a good thing to almost imagine that like you're gonna have multiple careers, and hopefully those are all in the same job, but you have to know when one period is over and another is starting. I think one big period for me was like the beginning of my pro career, like 2017 through 2019 when I had my surgery. I was a pro track runner, and it wasn't working, and I left the pro team that I was on. John, who is my coach now, started coaching me and realizing like, hey, like a phase of my career has ended. I have to kind of mourn the passing of that, and something new is coming. And being able to kind of shut that door and open myself up to something new allowed everything that's happened since. And I think even now, like of what I've gone through the last year, is realizing like, hey, the phase of my career of being this newbie, like who makes the Olympics on her first marathon, wins the medal, all this, like that phase of my career is over, and it's like trying to keep replicating that will get me nowhere. It's like, okay, like I'm a different person now, I've got different goals, I'm trying to build towards something equally big, but it's like, okay, like let that be closed and shut and be like, okay, what's this next phase of my career?
Sure. And maybe still kind of manifesting your own destiny in some way.
Exactly, yeah. And I think I truly believe that like trying to plan things and like even to some degree having like extremely definite goals, it almost shuts you down to opportunity. Because like when I started the marathon, my goal was not win a bronze medal. It was just, hey, I want to see how good I can be at this thing. And so I think by trying to like really define things, you almost limit yourself. So I'm just like, hey, like open yourself up to everything that's possible. The universe is a big place. A lot of things are possible. You just don't know it.
Well, great advice, and thank you very much.